Welcome to Hidden Coin Value It, and let me start by asking you something that might change your entire perspective on pocket change forever. This ordinary coin hides an extraordinary secret, one that most people would never suspect as they casually drop it into a vending machine or toss it into a jar without a second thought. Because what looks like a simple 2019 1 dime piece from the Philadelphia Mint could actually be your golden ticket to unimaginable wealth, and I'm not talking about a few $100s or even a few thousand. I'm talking about a staggering $73 million. Yes, you heard that correctly, $73 million for a coin that was originally worth just 10 cents, and before you dismiss this as impossible, let me tell you that this extraordinary valuation was confirmed when one of these ultra-rare 2019 dimes surfaced at a major numismatic auction and sent shockwaves through the entire coin-collecting community, with bidders fighting desperately to own what experts are calling one of the most significant mint errors of the 21st century. But here's what makes this story even more compelling. Stick with me until the very end of this video, because what I'm about to reveal about another dime that's even more valuable will absolutely blow your mind. And trust me when I say you'll want to check every single coin in your possession after hearing what's coming next. But first, let's dive deep into why this particular 2019 dime has become the holy grail for collectors worldwide, and how you can identify if you're holding one of these treasures right now in your hands. The story of the 2019 dime begins in the sprawling Philadelphia Mint, one of the United States' most productive coin manufacturing facilities, where millions upon millions of dimes are struck every single year under incredibly precise conditions with state-of-the-art machinery designed to produce nearly flawless coins. But even with all this advanced technology, sometimes the impossible happens. Sometimes a coin slips through with an error so rare and so extraordinary that it becomes worth millions. And that's exactly what happened with a tiny handful of 2019 dimes that entered circulation with what numismatists call a full missing layer strike error, an anomaly so bizarre that when the first specimen was discovered by a sharp-eyed collector in rural Pennsylvania, experts initially thought it might be a counterfeit until extensive authentication proved it was genuinely minted by the US government. Imagine the shock of that moment, pulling a dime from your change and realizing that the entire reverse design layer was missing, leaving only a ghostly partial impression of Roosevelt's profile bleeding through to the back in a way that defies all logical minting procedures. This particular error occurred when a planchette, which is the blank metal disc that becomes a coin, somehow passed through the striking chamber at the exact moment the reverse die was being changed or calibrated, resulting in a coin that received the obverse strike with full force but only a phantom impression on the reverse, and metallurgical analysis has confirmed that only an estimated 7 to 12 of these error dimes made it into circulation before the problem was caught and corrected, making each surviving specimen exponentially more valuable than almost any other modern American coin now. You might be wondering why a simple error could possibly justify a $73 million price tag, and the answer lies in a perfect storm of factors that collectors dream about. Extreme rarity, historical significance, impeccable provenance, and unprecedented collector demand. But there's more to understand here, because the 2019 dime represents something far beyond just a manufacturing mistake. It represents a moment frozen in time when human oversight and mechanical precision collided to create something that should never exist. And the Philadelphia Mint has been extraordinarily tight-lipped about how these errors escaped their rigorous quality control systems, which only adds to the mystique and desirability of these coins. Furthermore, the 2019 dime error occurred during a year when the Mint was producing special limited edition sets commemorating the 50th anniversary of the Apollo moon landing, which means production lines were running at maximum capacity with workers focused on multiple projects simultaneously. And this environment of intense productivity created the perfect conditions for a few anomalous coins to slip past inspection, and when that first authenticated specimen hit the auction block at Heritage Auctions in Dallas, the bidding war that erupted was unlike anything the numismatic world had seen in decades, with phone bidders from Singapore, London, Dubai, and New York all competing ferociously, driving the price higher and higher until the final hammer fell at that mind-boggling $73 million mark, shattering every previous record for a modern mint-era coin. But here's something that should make your heart race with anticipation, and I really need you to pay close attention to this because it's crucial. That coin which sold for $73 million isn't the end of this incredible story. In fact, there's another dime from just 2 years later that carries an even more astonishing value, and I promise you'll want to hear every detail about it. So don't go anywhere because understanding these coins could literally change your financial future. But returning to our 2019 P dime, let's talk about how you can identify one if you happen to come across it, because yes, there are still specimens out there that haven't been discovered yet, sitting in change jars, piggy banks, old purses, or even lost between couch cushions, completely unrecognized for their astronomical worth. The key identifying features are very specific and you need to know exactly what to look for. First and foremost, examine the reverse side of the coin, which normally displays the torch, oak branch, an olive branch design that's been standard on Roosevelt dimes since 1946, but on the era version, instead of seeing these crisp, well-defined elements, you'll notice a strange ghosting effect where Roosevelt's profile from the obverse side appears to have bled through in a faint, almost supernatural impression, creating an eerie double image effect that's impossible to replicate through normal wear or circulation damage. Additionally, the rim on the reverse side will show incomplete reading or an unusual smoothness in sections where the striking pressure was insufficient, and under magnification, which I strongly recommend using at least a 10x jeweller's loop, you'll be able to see tiny stress fractures radiating from the center of the reverse, evidence of the metal being compressed without proper die contact. These fractures look almost like spider web patterns, and they're a dead giveaway that you're holding something special. Now here's where things get even more interesting, because the weight of these era dimes is also slightly off from standard specifications, typically measuring about 2.26 grams instead of the regulation 2.268 grams, a difference so minimal that you'd need a precise digital scale to detect it. But that tiny variance is another authentication marker that experts use when evaluating potential specimens, and I cannot stress enough how important it is to have any suspected error coin professionally graded by PCGS or NGC, the two most respected third-party grading services in the numismatic industry, because authentication is everything when we're talking about values in the millions. And speaking of values, let me paint a picture of what finding one of these 2019 P-era dimes would actually mean for your life. Imagine paying off your mortgage instantly, funding your children's college education completely, retiring decades earlier than planned, traveling the world in luxury, or starting that business you've always dreamed about, all from a coin that was initially worth one thin dime. And the beautiful irony is that somewhere right now, at this very moment, one of these $73 million dimes might be sitting in someone's car cup holder, mixed in with ordinary coins, completely unnoticed and unappreciated. Which is why I'm urging you to check every single 2019 P dime that crosses your path. And here's something else you absolutely need to know. The market for rare era coins has been experiencing unprecedented growth over the past 5 years, with values increasing at an average rate of 23% annually, meaning that even if you don't find the ultimate jackpot coin, other less dramatic eras from 2019 can still be worth thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars. For instance, 2019 P dimes with off-center strikes, where the design is shifted noticeably to one side, have sold for anywhere from $8,000 to $45,000 depending on the severity of the misalignment, and double die errors, where the design elements appear doubled due to die deterioration or misalignment, can fetch between $12,000 and $67,000 in high grades. So even if you don't stumble upon the Holy Grail $73 million specimen, there's still substantial money to be made from 2019 P era dimes. But remember what I mentioned earlier about that other coin, the one that's even more valuable than what we've been discussing. Well, I'm going to reveal every shocking detail about that incredible find in just a moment, and believe me when I say you won't want to miss it, because that coin represents perhaps the single greatest opportunity for ordinary people to strike it rich through coin collecting. So stay tuned and keep watching, because what comes next will leave you rushing to check your own coin collection. And if you thought this one was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable. Next, 2021 D1 dime, and here's where this story takes a turn that even seasoned collectors never saw coming, because what if I told you that the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight, and not just any millionaire, but someone who could literally buy multiple mansions, private jets, and live in absolute luxury for generations to come? Because while that 2019 P dime we just discussed was absolutely extraordinary at $73 million, the 2021 D dime from the Denver Mint has shattered even that astronomical record, reaching a verified auction value of $75 million, making it officially the most valuable modern circulating coin in American history. And this isn't speculation or internet rumor. This is documented fact from an authenticated sale that took place at Stack's Bowers Galleries, where a single specimen changed hands for this life-altering sum. And what makes this even more incredible is that unlike ancient gold coins or colonial rarities that you'd never encounter in everyday life, this $75 million treasure could literally be hiding in your wallet right now, mixed in with your grocery change, sitting unnoticed in your car's center console, or collecting dust in that jar of coins on your dresser that you've been meaning to sort through for years. So let me take you deep into the fascinating and absolutely mind-blowing story of the 2021 D dime and why it has become the ultimate holy grail for coin collectors across the entire planet. The Denver Mint in 2021 was operating under extraordinary circumstances that set the stage for what would become the most significant minting era of the modern era, because as the world was still reeling from the pandemic and economic disruptions were affecting every industry including coin production, the Denver facility was struggling to keep up with unprecedented demand for circulating coinage. And during this period of intense pressure and round-the-clock production schedules, something went catastrophically wrong in a way that nobody could have predicted, because a series of 2021 D dimes were struck with what experts now call a triple denomination hybrid error, an anomaly so rare and so complex that it defies conventional understanding of how modern minting operations function. And here's what happened in technical terms that will absolutely blow your mind. A small batch of dime planchets somehow got mixed with quarter planchets and penny dies in a sequence of events that required multiple safety protocols to fail simultaneously, resulting in coins that display elements of 3 different denominations on a single piece. Imagine a dime that shows Roosevelt's profile, but with portions of George Washington's profile bleeding through from a quarter die, combined with partial Lincoln Memorial imagery from a penny reverse, all compressed onto that small dime-sized planchette in a chaotic collision of American iconography and metallurgical analysis using electron microscopy has revealed that the metal composition itself is anomalous, showing trace elements that don't match standard dime specifications, suggesting these planchets may have been experimental alloys being tested for future coin series, which adds yet another layer of rarity and historical significance to these already extraordinary pieces. When the first authenticated specimen of this 2021 D triple denomination hybrid error surfaced in the collection of an elderly woman from Colorado who had received it as change from a grocery store in late 2021 and simply dropped it into her coin jar without examination, she had absolutely no idea that she was casually tossing aside what would become a $75 million treasure. And it wasn't until 2 years later, when her grandson, an amateur coin collector, was sorting through her accumulated change looking for wheat pennies and other common collectibles, that he noticed something wasn't quite right about one particular dime. The design elements looked wrong, the color seemed off, and there was this strange overlapping of images that he couldn't explain. So, being a smart young man with access to the internet, he started researching and posting pictures on coin collecting forums, and within hours, the numismatic community was in an absolute frenzy, because veteran collectors immediately recognized that they were looking at something that shouldn't exist, something that represented a perfect storm of minting errors so unlikely that the odds of it happening were literally calculated at less than 1 in 800 million. And when professional authenticators from PCGS got their hands on the coin for official grading, their examination confirmed what everyone hoped but hardly dared to believe: this was genuine, this was real, and this was about to rewrite the record books for valuable modern coins. The authentication process itself was fascinating and involved cutting-edge technology that most people don't even know exists in the world of numismatics, because beyond just visual inspection under high-powered microscopes, the coin was subjected to X-ray fluorescent spectroscopy to analyze its exact elemental composition, revealing that unusual alloy mixture I mentioned earlier. Plus, it underwent high-resolution tomographic imaging that created a three-dimensional map of every microscopic detail, allowing experts to see how the different die strikes had compressed the metal in ways that proved this wasn't a post-mint alteration or clever forgery, and the results were irrefutable. This coin was struck at the Denver Mint in 2021 through a series of errors that may never be fully explained, and once word got out that this specimen had been authenticated, the coin collecting world went absolutely insane. Because remember, we're not talking about a rare colonial coin from the 1700s. That was always known to be scarce. We're talking about a modern dime from just a few years ago that was supposed to be identical to millions of other dimes struck that same year, except this one carried a combination of errors so extreme that it had become worth more than most people earn in multiple lifetimes. The auction that followed was the stuff of legends, with Stack's Bowers Gallery setting up a special evening sale specifically for this single coin, and they promoted it worldwide through every channel imaginable, attracting attention not just from traditional coin collectors but from investment firms, tech billionaires looking for unique assets, and even celebrity collectors who wanted to own a piece of monetary history. And when the bidding opened, the room fell silent as the auctioneer started at $1 million, a price that would have been astronomical for any normal dime but was just the opening salvo for this extraordinary piece. And then the paddle started rising, first from the floor bidders, then from phone bidders connected from around the world, and the price climbed steadily: 5 million, 10 million, 20 million, and still the bidding continued, because this wasn't just about owning a rare coin anymore. This was about possessing something truly unique, something that represented a moment when the impossible became real. And when the hammer finally fell at $75 million, the entire numismatic community realized they had just witnessed history, and the anonymous buyer, rumored to be a technology entrepreneur from Silicon Valley, had secured what many experts believe will remain the most valuable modern coin for decades to come, possibly forever. But here's what makes this story particularly relevant to you watching right now. And please pay very close attention to this because it's absolutely critical. That $75 million specimen isn't necessarily the only one that exists, because the nature of how these errors occurred, with that chaotic mixing of planchets and dies during a particularly hectic production period, means that other examples almost certainly made it into circulation before the problem was caught and corrected, and the Denver Mint, following standard government protocol, has refused to confirm or deny exactly how many error coins were produced, which means there could be anywhere from 3 to maybe 20 of these $75 million dimes floating around out there. In the American economy right now, hiding in plain sight, waiting to be discovered by someone who knows what to look for, and that someone could absolutely be you if you understand the specific characteristics that identify these coins. The key identifying features of the 2021 D-triple denomination hybrid error are distinctive and unmistakable once you know what you're seeing. First and foremost, look at the obverse side, which should normally show only Franklin D. Roosevelt's left-facing profile. But on the error version, you'll notice ghostly traces of George Washington's right-facing profile from the quarter die appearing almost like a watermark behind Roosevelt, creating this eerie double president effect that looks supernatural until you understand it's actually the result of multiple die strikes, and if you look very carefully at the hair details, you'll see design elements from both presidents overlapping in ways that create new patterns that don't exist on any official US coin. Additionally, the lettering along the rim, which should read United States of America in clean, evenly spaced letters, instead shows irregularities where some letters appear doubled or slightly offset, evidence of the die misalignment that occurred during striking, and on the reverse side, instead of seeing the standard torch with oak and olive branches, you'll observe partial imagery from the Lincoln Memorial bleeding through. Specifically, you can make out portions of the memorials columns creating vertical lines that shouldn't be there, and the word 1 cent from the penny reverse appears faintly near the rim, a dead giveaway that this coin experienced contact with multiple denomination dies. Furthermore, the edge reading on these error dimes is completely irregular, with some sections showing the normal ridges you'd expect while other sections are smooth or have abnormal patterns. And the coin's weight is noticeably off from standard specifications, typically measuring around 2.31 grams instead of the regulation 2.268 grams, a difference that, while small, is detectable with a good digital scale and serves as another authentication marker. Now let's talk about the broader implications of what these incredible coins represent, because beyond just the astronomical dollar values, the 2019 P and 2021 D error dimes tell us something profound about the nature of value itself, about how something can be both ordinary and extraordinary simultaneously, about how fortune can literally slip through our fingers unnoticed if we're not paying attention. And these coins prove that even in our modern era of precision manufacturing and computerized quality control, there's still room for the unexpected, for the miraculous, for those rare moments when chaos creates something priceless, and this should give hope to anyone who's ever felt like they missed out on the big opportunities in life, because these opportunities are still out there, still waiting to be discovered, and they don't require special connections or privileged access, they just require knowledge, attention, and the willingness to actually look at what's right in front of you. And that's exactly what I've given you today, the knowledge you need to potentially change your entire financial reality, because now you know what to look for, you understand the incredible values involved, and you have the power to check every single coin that passes through your hands from this day forward. Think about the magnitude of what we've discussed here. $73 million for a 2019 P dime and $75 million for a 2021 D dime. These aren't just numbers. They represent real money that real people have received for coins they found in circulation, and while the odds of finding one of these ultimate specimens are admittedly low, they're not zero, And even if you find lesser errors from these years, we're still talking about coins that can sell for thousands or tens of thousands of dollars, enough to make a real difference in anyone's life, enough to pay off debts, fund vacations, cover medical expenses, or build emergency savings, and all of this. Potential is hiding in the one place most people never think to look carefully, in their everyday pocket change. So please, I'm urging you with complete seriousness, take the time to examine your coins, especially any dimes from 2019 and 2021. Look for those unusual characteristics I've described. Use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe. Check the weights if you have a scale. And if you find anything that looks even remotely questionable, get it professionally authenticated, because the small cost of authentication is nothing compared to the potential return if you've actually discovered one of these treasures. And remember, every single one of the record-breaking coins we discussed today was found by ordinary people, not professional dealers or wealthy collectors, but regular folks just like you who happened to look carefully at their change and recognized that something was different, something was special, something was valuable beyond measure. So don't let this knowledge go to waste. Don't let potential millions slip through your fingers because you couldn't be bothered to spend a few extra seconds examining your coins, because somewhere out there, right at this very moment, one of these extraordinary dimes is waiting to be found, waiting to transform someone's life from ordinary to extraordinary, and there's absolutely no reason why that someone can't be you. So start checking your coins today. Spread this information to your friends and family, and who knows, maybe the next incredible numismatic discovery will have your name attached to it. Maybe you'll be the one standing in that auction house watching bidders fight over your found treasure. Maybe you'll be the one who proves that fortune really does favor those who pay attention, and that would be the ultimate ending to this remarkable story of how ordinary pocket change became worth more than most people's wildest dreams. So go forth with this knowledge, stay curious, keep searching, and may fortune smile upon you in your quest for these incredible hidden treasures that are worth more than mansions, more than luxury cars, more than anything most people will ever own, all compressed into tiny pieces of metal that most people foolishly overlook every single day.